Hello Art Stars, welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time, and welcome back to all of those who joined us last term. I hope you enjoyed your lesson with Veronica last week. This week we're going to be working with portraits and human anatomy, but we're going to be looking at them in movement. And when I thought of this, I immediately thought about athleticism and sports, and I thought of Futurism. Now, Futurism is one of my favorite art styles, art movements. It started about 100 years ago in 1910s, more or less, and this was a group that was so influenced by Enlightenment and machines coming to being and industry, cars, that you very much get that dynamic and vibrant and very energetic movement from their images. Now, if you look at your pack this week, you've got two worksheets. One is some images that I've selected for you on this movement, on Futurism, and I just want you to look at them and get inspired. They were very much inspired by athletics and machine. So there's this marrying of these two concepts within their style of drawing and the colors they choose. So have a look at them. At the bottom of the page, you will find a couple of photographs that I've chosen as examples to start sketching. You don't have to use these photographs. You can have mom, dad, somebody from your household pose for you if you want and snap a picture of them if you've got something in your mind. Or you can do a little bit of Googling and find the right image for you. Or you can use the image I'm using. I will leave that completely up to you and your vision. And the second page you've got is a PDF. If you joined us last term, this might look a bit familiar for you, and it's the body cannons. And you can go back to week 4 if you want a more detailed explanation on the body cannons and how they break down. But what you want to know is that we're working with the Greek canon, and it breaks down human proportions into 8 heads. And so as we draw, you'll notice that I'll keep using that measurement of one head to check that my neck, torso, my arms, my legs are all the correct lengths and shapes. So without ado, let's start. I've got the images up here for me, and I think I am gonna start with the bicycle, the man on a bicycle sketch. And so we're going to work this landscape, I think. And we're going to start with the head and torso. And you'll notice this one's, I'm going to do these lines a bit hard so that you can see, but you want to draw these lines super light with your lightest touch. Again, if you need to practice and do a few lines with different pressure to get used to your pencil, you know, some hard, some medium, and some very soft, just like that, so that you get a nice handle before you start. So as I said, I'm going to draw these with a bit more pressure so that you guys can see, but please do this very soft, and then we'll go in and add more to it. So you're going to start with a circle for the head, and it's kind of an egg shaped, not quite a circle, it's more of an oval. And then we're going to do, the body is about 2 heads. So we're going to do another circle here about 2 heads long. We've got another head in the hips, and then another sort of coming into the thighs. So again, almost the same length as I've done the torso. I'm gonna do one here that is my hips and the beginning of the leg. And then we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is gonna come here in the foot. So another 2 heads here. And you can sometimes intersect these lines. If I bring this up to you here, and this will give you a clue of the knee is here. Usually where these things break, we've got joints that move in certain directions. So when you're crossing both ovals, that little circle left in the middle will give you a good clue of where that part of your body is. So we've got another leg that comes behind here. And comes back down here. And then we've got one foot kind of coming forward here. And one we don't really see, it's back here. But between the wheel and the bicycle, we don't really see that. Then let's go back up to the arms, and they're coming almost straight down, but they have a bit of a bend. So again, I'm gonna do a couple of heads here. It's more like a head and a half for the arms. They're not quite as long as the legs. And then another head and a half here. And the hands are kind of closed around the bicycle. So I'm just going to do the suggestion there. And I kind of see the other arm here, but I don't see the other shoulder. So I'm just going to suggest that there's another one coming here into this bicycle. And once you've got this basic outline of the movement, you can start looking at possibly this leg is a little bit big for the proportion of this torso. So you can start adjusting. And maybe I'll rub this bit out, do it a little bit thinner. There we go. And at this point, I might put in just the bare structure of this bicycle. So we've got one that comes here, one that comes here, one from the seat, into these beautiful big wheels. And I purposely chose these 2 sample images because I felt the backgrounds as well as the pose felt very dynamic and like they have a lot of movement to them. So I thought it might be nice, nice inspiration. Okay. So as you can see at this point, I've got my basic shape going. And I can start smoothing out and connecting my shapes together. So I'm gonna make this bit of the head a little bit bigger. I can see his face is kind of like not quite looking up, but it's not quite looking as down as I drew it. So we're gonna fix this a bit this way. And so we can see that's more or less where the eyes are and where the nose is going to come. And I can see he's got some sort of, I don't know if this is a little dimple or if it's being created from his helmet strap, but it looks like he's got a bit of skin here. So I'm going to start including tiny details like that, not super detailed, but just enough to give you a reference of where different things are. So his ear is kind of here in the middle, and we're gonna connect the neck here. We can see that it's kind of, the chin is going a bit straight off from here. And a good trick for this is your jawbone will always come from your ear. So let me show you here. If we have our ear and then you add a continuing line from beneath, it's always going to give you that sensation of the jawbone. You can then go in to shade a bit under there, and you can continue on to the chin here and sort of get more of that facial shape going. So let's continue connecting. As you're connecting, you can rub out some of your guidelines. And so for example here, I'm going to leave this shoulder one to give that sensation of the arm kind of coming in over the neck here. And we know he's got like a shirt here, a helmet here. A little strap coming in. Right. This is looking slowly more like the real thing. And so here you'll notice I'm kind of trying to unite this all into one smooth line at the back. So that this is all one smooth line in the body. And then the legs kind of coming over the belly. So I'm going to make sure and give priority to this line over this line. Because if you look at the picture, that's more or less the way it looks. Some of these bits out, and let's have a look at his little outfit. And his shorts end up just above the knee. And again with this, oh, see here I followed the wrong leg. I just realized I'm going towards the back leg. So let's rub this out. Important to look at your drawing always. I thought something was looking funny, but I couldn't pick up what it was. So, So this looks more correct. So as I was saying, the front leg, the hip is going over the torso. But for the back leg, the torso is going over the leg. So your lines are always whatever's closest to the point of view that we're looking at. That's the line that's going to continue and cut off the line behind that. So that's just a nice little trick if you're sometimes stuck and you're not sure which way something should move. You can always refer back to this and follow that line. Okay. And so same here with this one, the calf is coming over the leg, and then we've got a bit of bike coming through here. I like doing that same continuation here where you've got the knee. So we're gonna rub out most of the circle, but we're gonna leave a little bit of it just coming down, cutting down into the middle. And that gives a nice suggestion of knees and elbows and those kinds of bits of limb. Okay. And he's got these lovely socks on. So we're almost there with this bit. Do a bit of a shoe here. And get rid of some of these other lines. Now we can do our back leg. Finish off that ankle bit. And because you don't really see the rest of it here, I think I'm going to get rid of it and just enlarge the wheel here. There we go. Gonna do a bit more work on this back arm here. Just a little bit to clean up those lines. And give that suggestion that he's holding those lovely horn bars. Now at this point, you can start putting in a lot more detail and shading and start paying attention more on the smaller parts of this image. So say maybe I start looking more at his helmet and the texture on it. So it's got all these little cutout holes for the ventilation. So I might shade those black with my darkest. You might want to do a bit of shading, so you go down to your medium pressure and then up to your light. And it's going to give me a bit that idea of the red. And his hair here, we're going to go with our dark pressure lines. He's wearing these sunglasses. So I'm going to put those in. And so you see, with something that looks just like a blob at the beginning, you slowly turn it into what is in front of you. How about a bit of this? And we're going to do just a bit of this shirt pattern here really quick. And we're going to get the wheel nice and dark, and then try and get the rim nice and light so that we've got that contrast of the rubber and the metal on this. And so I want you to try and not go full detail on this, because we're going to do a next step to this to turn it a bit more into a futurist style. So I'm happy with this amount of detail so far. And if you look back at our futurist inspirations, their method to indicate movement is very much in segmenting and putting lines. So at this point, I want you to think about our main image and the way things are blurring and the way he's moving and how you can section that off. So I feel like he'd have these circles that he's leaving behind. And so I don't know if you can see these 3 lines there. Suddenly, we're getting a bit more movement across that. And now I want you to take some of the shading and play with where these things slice off. So if I take where my first circle is here, and I start shading off of this where he is, you know, I can start pulling lines. Like so. And can you see how suddenly that starts playing with different proportions? So maybe on this section I do the inverse. So I leave it blank where he is. And always be conscious of these lines. You want to make them in the direction that you feel movement. So it doesn't have to be circles. Triangles are a great way of indicating movement and sort of direction, obviously like arrows do. Have fun. It can be an organic shape. You know, it doesn't have to be a set geometric shape. It doesn't have to be a square or a circle. It can be a wiggly line that you feel really expresses, like say you're doing swimming, so you want it to splash around. Like so. So I just want you to be intuitive with, you know, not everything has to be filled out the same way. Here I quite like the way this is looking. So I'm going to leave this half shaded, half blank. Maybe here I start, you know, bringing this in fully here. So there you go. Build your shading slowly. And just take your time going back over and over the same areas, revisiting until you are happy with your design. But I think that looks like there's a lot of movement in there, don't you? I am looking forward to seeing you all on Zoom and discussing this. Have fun doing your sketches, and I will see you there. Bye.